4 episodes back, we addressed the topic of pain during sex for women, and that show received a lot of downloads. Today, we return to the topic, but this time for men. Sexual issues like this can be difficult to figure out, and often people just don't even know who to ask, so they struggle on alone. We hope that this will be the start of getting help for anyone who's struggling with pain during sex, so that you can return to enjoying physical intimacy with your wife.
The Marriage Podcast for Smart People is designed to help busy couples like yourselves move away from conflict and unhappiness to build a marriage you'll love today and treasure for a lifetime. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Learn how you can help save marriages, prevent divorces, and keep families intact by going to oyf.support. Once again, that website is oyf.support. And now, here are your hosts, Caleb and Valinda Simone Gandel from Only You Forever.
Welcome to the Marriage Podcast for Smart People. If you want to build a thriving, passionate marriage, we've got the research, the truth, and the answers you're looking for. We have another interesting episode for you this week on a subject that doesn't come up in the coffee shop.
Really?
This is episode number 264, and today we're going to be talking about why men might be experiencing pain during sex. We covered the same topic of pain during sex for women back in episode 260.
Hey there. Before we get started, if you missed last week's episode, we discussed the more common impacts of a husband's porn use on his wife. Definitely worth going back and checking that one out. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming shows from us.
And if you're struggling with your marriage, we offer sound research-based advice, and most of all, we offer hope.
Okay.
Let's get into this for Linda.
Why might husbands...
I learned a lot. I had no idea that you could get pain in so many different ways. But generally speaking, the cause of pain during sex could be physical, psychological, or a mixture of those two.
Okay.
Again, generally speaking. What,
Pretty
sorry?
much like any pain.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your stomach hurts, I guess it could be psychological if you have ulcers because you're anxious.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm following you. But generally speaking, again, you want to start by addressing this problem with your family doctor to see if there's a medical cause or a urologist, maybe. That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You may also find help with referral to a psychiatrist, a counselor, or a sexologist, or as we're going to hear, even a physiotherapist, in order to work through the causes and find a solution that works well. So I just kind of mentioned those different professionals at the start to know that there's options. Okay. Now, if you're going to talk to your doctor, it helps to go prepared with the information that you need. Men can experience pain during erection or ejaculation or post-erection or post-ejaculation. Again, just kind of giving some language here because a lot of times, because we don't have these conversations and we don't talk about sexual things a lot in our society in a healthy, conversational kind of way, men will show up in the doctor's office saying it hurts when we have sex.
Oh, okay. As if they can give this detail.
Yes, but where it hurts, when it's hurting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You'll be sort of better prepared with the doctor. And of course, because we feel awkward and we don't think carefully about and precisely about the timing of the pain, we miss those details, but it can help the doctor help you. Sometimes too, the pain will come with other problems such as erectile dysfunction. And it's good to note that there are some common lifestyle changes that can help with the issue of pain as well. Just things like exercising, eating well, limiting your alcohol consumption, quitting smoking. I was surprised how often smoking came up in this list of issues. Those can all help reduce sexual problems for men.
Okay.
So we're going to get to some complex causes of pain, but just on the basic end of things, the friction of sex can irritate the skin on your penis if your spouse is not sufficiently lubricated. So using a quality lubricant is the solution for this problem. So
some of these problems might be easily fixed.
I mean, this is not even physical or psychological, really. It's just you guys need more lubricant.
Okay.
Yeah. Some women are just drier than other women. And sometimes changes in the menopause, for example, can lead to dryness, right? So it's helpful to note as well that there is a connection between sex drive and pain. Low sex drive does not necessarily cause pain, but pain during sex may cause low sex drive. So that's a good generality to be aware of as a possibility.
Right.
And also, we're not going to go through an extensive list of sexually transmitted infections or diseases, but it is a fact that STIs such as herpes or untreated gonorrhea can cause burning, itching, sores, bumps, blisters in the genital area. So again, that's doctor business.
Right. There's treatment for that.
Yeah. And there's just so many of those that I decided, you know what, we're not going to list all the nasty diseases you can get. So let's just jump into other causes and some of the more common causes of pain during sex. First one I want to look at is delayed ejaculation, which is characterized by taking more than 30 minutes to ejaculate during sex. And it doesn't mean necessarily enjoying sex, extended sessions of sex, but this is like you're trying to ejaculate and you can't sort of situation. Or in some cases, not at all, not even being able to ejaculate. So depending on what's happening, this can either be caused by pain or it can result in pain. Sometimes on this one, it's hard to distinguish the cause and the effect. There could be a minor physical issue or a psychological issue that results in the delayed ejaculation.
Okay.
Or the delayed ejaculation may be the byproduct of a medication, and then the pain comes from irritation, for example, because of friction due to the extended duration of the intercourse. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if you're facing this issue, you should consider causes such as anxiety and stress, medications such as some antidepressants and others along that line of things, or even hair loss treatments can have these side effects.
Really?
There may be, a prostate or urinary tract infection, a hormone imbalance, possible birth defects, or pelvic or spinal nerve damage. So quite a diversity of possible sources.
Yeah.
So definitely want to start with your doctor on this one. Your doctor can help you figure out the underlying issues, recommend treatment. In the meantime, use plenty of lubricant. And it's also helpful sometimes just to remind yourself to take the focus off achieving orgasm and instead really enjoying being with your spouse.
Okay.
Now, the next one is interesting. Persistent pelvic floor muscle spasms. I didn't even know I had a pelvic floor. But there are muscles that go from your pubic bone at the front to the base of your spine at the back, boys. And sometimes the muscles in that area can stop working properly. When those muscles overcontract, it's called a pelvic floor muscle spasm. And it'll feel like a sharp pinching and pain in the pelvic area. You may also feel pain in your lower abs and constant pain from the perineum, which is the area between the anus and the scrotum, and the groin. Now, there's other possible causes of pain in this area. Everything from sitting down to engaging in sex can spark pain, and these spasms can also lead to inflammation around the nerves in your genital area, which can make erection or ejaculation painful as well. So this problem can occur for a number of reasons. Stress can prompt men to unconsciously tighten and clench their pelvic floor muscles, or there may be a urinary tract infection underlying, or prostatitis, which we will come to, or bladder infection that triggers an ongoing dysfunction in these pelvic floor muscles. So I understand that physiotherapists can diagnose and treat this issue. Apparently, activities such as cycling with a hard seat that doesn't fit is not recommended. So they may, if you're a cyclist, they may be talking to you about that. They may also recommend things like biofeedback to help relax these muscles, or Kegel exercises to help gain control or recondition these muscles.
I thought that was only a female thing.
Kegels.
Kegel, yeah.
Yeah, me too, until we did this research.
Huh.
Yep. But basically, I mean, there's a little bit of similarity between men and women in that there's a pelvic bone and then it goes to the base of the spine. Like we both have those, right? And then the muscles in there hold everything up in your body. Right?
Okay.
So another very similar or related issue with this one that I just kind of wanted to lump in here is something called trigger points, which I hadn't heard of before. When there's pain in the pelvic floor, it may cause some muscles to form tight bands, which can restrict blood flow, which can lead to inflammation around the nerves, which can lead to pain during sex. So kind of a cascading effect thing. Treatment is similar. You start with a physiotherapist, but we'll also likely want to incorporate techniques that increase blood flow. And things like quitting smoking, exercise, weight loss become important here as well.
Interesting.
Third item on the list for a possible source of pain during sex is chronic prostatitis, or chronic pelvic pain syndrome.
Wow.
Prostatitis is an inflammation of the prostate gland that causes swelling, pain, or a burning sensation during urination, and also during or after intercourse or upon ejaculation. Now, with a prevalence rate of 2 to 16% in North American males, and 3 to 14% among Asian and European males, these two issues are a urological condition that are characterized by pain in the pelvic region and concomitant or co-occurring sexual and voiding dysfunction happening at the same time is what that means.
You void and
It's hard to pee and have sex.
at the same time.
Yes, but that's not what this is saying. It's saying it's also hard for you to pee and it's also hard for you to have sex.
Okay.
A significant percentage of men with this issue also experience erectile dysfunction and reduced sexual interest, and it can be caused by the nervous system being chronically activated and tightening up those same pelvic muscles that we were talking about. Worry, anxiety, and depression can be factors contributing to the issue as well. And this one, working with a urologist is recommended, treating the inflamed prostate gland accordingly. Sometimes things like there's more short-term strategies, but taking a short walk or a warm bath before engaging in sex can help.
So just to relax everything.
Yep. As well. So that's chronic prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome. Now, once again, we've created a bonus guide for our much appreciated supporters. We've assembled 3 kinds of exercises that we have learned are helpful for reducing the symptoms of many of these problems in men. And you can get that bonus download by becoming a patron of the Marriage Podcast for Smart People. We'll take a short 60-second break here to tell you more about that.
What happens when the fairy tale marriage meets reality? Too often, high expectations lead to disappointment, communication breaks down, and the struggles of day-to-day life become overwhelming, leaving you feeling lost and without hope. Unfortunately, marriage does not come with an instruction manual. Marriage troubles are deeply personal and can take a toll on you, your spouse, and your family. Counseling can be expensive and divorce is very costly. It doesn't have to be this way. Caleb and Valinda understand your pain and frustration. Their mission is to help save as many marriages as possible, and to date, thousands of couples are helped through their weekly podcast. But the most important marriage they want to help save is yours. With a minimum of a $10 investment a month, you gain access to exclusive bonus content and valuable information to help you succeed in your own marriage. Learn more about saving marriages and how you can help at oyf.support. That's oyf.support.
You're listening to the Marriage Podcast for Smart People. Before the break, we were talking about pain related to issues in the prostate. Now, another potential source of pain is the penis, the hypersensitivity of the penis. The penis can become sensitive after your orgasm, which can make continued intercourse painful or even just uncomfortable. It could also be that if you're having very frequent intercourse with your wife, that your penis may become oversensitive too. Or this problem may be occurring on top of the prostate issues that we were just talking about. So there's kind of a diversity of possibilities there. And let me throw in one fascinating and unique thing that I heard about. One guy who told me he'd gotten lazy in the shower and he used his head and shoulders over his whole body. And it ended up making his penis super sensitive. So whatever the hair treatment thing was, it's like he or his wife could not touch his penis. Like it was.
Wow, very sensitive.
Yes. So
you might just need to change your soap.
Yeah, maybe just use normal soap. Don't use your head and shoulders as a body wash. Anyways, interesting fact along the way. As well, it's possible that you may have a skin disorder such as Zuhn's balanitis. I didn't even say that right. I'm going to take one more swing past that. And if I don't get it right this time, I'm going to give up. Zuhn's balanitis. I think I got that right. Inflammation of the head of the penis and foreskin. There's another thing called erosive lichen planus, an inflammatory skin condition marked by an itchy, bumpy rash on the penis. There's lichen sclerosis. These all sounds like varieties of moss. But that's a chronic inflammatory skin disease. And then there's penile cancer, which may cause pain with intercourse as well. Maybe just start off as a hypersensitivity kind of thing. So again, you'll want to start with your doctor, but in some cases, just before you kind of freak out, you might just be having too much sex on a given day. And if that's the case, can you find other ways to be intimate with your spouse? Or if it is one of the skin disorders, your doctor will be able to advise the best treatment. And, I feel like saying on the way through here that the average number of times per week that people have sex is like 2.3 or something like that. So would you run into the odd person where they're having sex like 3 times a day and they're wondering why they're having some pain? Well, maybe your body wasn't made for that. And we're not talking about the honeymoon. We're talking about all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's not just an issue of too much sex or a skin disorder, you can also follow some of the recommendations for the prostate issue. It's also possible to reduce the sensitivity of the penis through the use of condoms or even a numbing cream. Those are available in your pharmacy or over the counter, I think. Can't remember exactly what it said on that one. Another possibility is to consider changing sex positions and working with that if there is a hypersensitivity problem. That's another option.
Okay.
Now, the fifth thing to talk about is a tight foreskin or other deformities of the penis. There is a condition called phimosis where the foreskin of the penis is too tight to retract over the head of the penis completely when you have an erection. And there's another condition called paraphimosis where the foreskin is tucked behind the penis and cannot be pulled forward. And both of these can make intercourse more painful for men. The best course of action here is to see the doctor, and sorry to say, but surgery may be recommended. It's also possible that the structure of your penis has been damaged by some condition or disease, or even has a congenital deformity, a birth defect in ordinary language. And this can result in pain in the penis too. And again, there's a lot of possible root causes here. So you'll want to see a urologist or at least your family doctor to start with on this one. Another one that I hadn't heard of is called priapism, which is a prolonged, actually, you know what? I have heard of this, but not had a word put to it. Priapism is a prolonged erection of the penis. And before all men start to guffaw, this is actually a non-sexual erection, which is often painful as well. So sometimes it can be stimulated by intercourse, but it's just not going away because blood cannot leave the penis or because the blood flow is regulated properly in your body. So we're talking about an erection for 4 hours or more, or one that's unrelated to sexual interest or stimulation, like you're sitting at your desk at work, working on a spreadsheet, and all of a sudden you have an erection.
Really?
It's possible with this issue. Now, and it may not be a full erection too, but there's a blood flow problem, basically, if we put it that way.
Okay.
As far as causes go, it can be related to sickle cell anemia or caused by medications like Viagra, which sounds like a duh moment, but the Viagra should work and then stop working. But sometimes it doesn't stop.
Okay.
That's when it's an issue. Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, or even by certain antidepressants or antipsychotics. It's more common in individuals who abuse drugs and alcohol. It can also result from injury to the spinal cord, from clotting disorders, or even, get this for Linda, from black widow spider bites.
Wow. Black widow spider bites can give you prolonged erections.
Yes.
Wow.
So if you have an erection lasting more than 4 hours, you need to go to emergency and speak to a doctor. If it's not 4 hours, but you have recurrent, persistent, painful erections that resolve on their own but just last for too long, then you should see a doctor as well. Tell them you suspect priapism. And finally, there's the whole hernia thing. I mean, there's more sources of pain than these, but finally, in terms of the major list of things, possibilities. Now, hernia is a fairly large topic, but if you have an inguinal hernia, which is a hernia in the groin area, then you may experience pain during intercourse. Sometimes it can be due to scarring resulting from the operation to fix the hernia. The pain frequently occurs right after surgery, usually goes away with time, but they say about 10% of men experience chronic pain after hernia surgery, which is quite a high number. Symptoms for this kind of issue include an intense sharp pain that feels like a knife stabbing and twisting in the groin.
Ow.
A burning hot sensation. Feels like you have a foreign body penetrating and invading your body. Testicular pain. Pain during sexual intercourse. Pain when moving or walking.
Wow.
Yes. And of course, before you have your surgery, if you have a hernia, it can just be painful. It can make sexual activity even impossible. So anything related to hernias requires a visit to the doctor as well. So just to kind of wrap up, our bodies do fail us sometimes, and it's important to communicate with your spouse about the pain that you are experiencing. It can be embarrassing and a frustrating situation too, but if the root issue is psychological, then a good conversation and opening up the topic with your wife may be all that's needed in order just to relax enough to work through the issue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or you can talk to a sexologist if you want to go into more detail with someone who's comfortable and familiar with this kind of issues. On the other hand, if the source is physical, you'll definitely want to speak to a medical practitioner. In some cases, if the root issue is an infection or possibly an STI, you'll want to refrain from further intercourse until you know what's happening. But in all of this, we'd encourage you to talk to your wife. If your wife doesn't know why you're pulling back from sex, she has to come up with an explanation on her own. And that could lead to a lot of stress in your marriage. So it's best to address these difficult topics, even though it's hard to talk about them, and just raise it and just start working together towards a solution.
That's a lot of information there.
Yep.
Definitely learned a lot today. Thank you. Thank you also to Justin and Melinda and Virginia, who became patrons between this recording and our previous one. Again, without all your support, we couldn't do this podcast.
Yes.
We have an iTunes review, Caleb. 5 stars from Finically. Great podcast. Thank you so much for all the insight. I started listening to your podcast and share it with my husband, who is all caught up with your show now. Wow. That's a lot of listening. We love your podcast. You speak on so many topics that are very needed for marriages today. Thank you for all the help. So thanks for your review, Finically.
Finically?
Finite. Next week.
We're talking about friendships with the opposite sex.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yes.
That is all for today's episode. You can get the full show notes at oyf.link/264. Find out how you can help. Go to oyf.support. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
The Marriage Podcast for Smart People is totally funded by listeners who support Caleb and Belinda in their mission to save marriages. If you would like to be part of this worthy cause, open your web browser to oyf.support. A minimum investment of $10 per month will help restore hope to married couples. Plus, as a patron, you'll gain access to exclusive bonus content and valuable information to help you succeed in your own marriage. Go to the website oyf.support now for more information. Thanks for listening to the Marriage Podcast for Smart People from Only You Forever.
And so everything from sitting down to engaging in sex can spark pain. And these spasms. All right. We're trying not to giggle.
Okay.
Moron.
I just find it so awkward.
Just because I use the word scrotum and anus in the same sentence doesn't mean you have.
Why I was laughing.